Hey, everybody, welcome back to Prospects Live. It is, of course, your friend, your host, your boy, Drew Wheeler, here as always with a very special interview tonight for all of you. We have got none other than Karson Bowen of TCU. Karson, thanks so much for joining me, man.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Absolutely. It's great to have you here. We've got so much to talk about, a lot of really interesting topics because you've had such a compelling, not even just college career, but a career with a long and interesting journey that's brought you to where you are today. But before we get into any of that, I've got a bit of an icebreaker question for you. Something easy, something that'll get us in the mood of talking.
All right.
Karson, what are your three most used emojis?
Ooh. So the red heart for sure.
Love it.
Um I think the kissing emoji probably like with the
Ooh,
heart,
okay. The
you know,
heart off to the side. Yeah.
longtime girlfriend. So
Nice. That's great.
um maybe the laughing emoji, something simple probably.
Which laughing emoji? Now, I get razzed a lot for being the old man doing interviews. I'm 35. I'm not even that old.
No.
But they tell me that using the straight up and down laughing crying face is old.
I feel like that's the one I use.
I think it's just Nate. I think it's
Yeah.
that Nate uses the like sideways crying one, and
Oh,
he's like, come on, Drew, like that's so old. Not
no,
everybody.
I use the OG one, yeah.
My man, that's what I'm
Yep.
talking about. Thank you. I'm glad that I can show this to Nate and just tell him, no, Nate, it's a you thing. All right. Karson, if you could describe your game, your specific brand of baseball in three words, what would those words be?
Hmm. Tough,
Mm,
smart, and athletic.
I like that. Those
All
are
right.
good.
Yeah.
Who who doesn't want that in a player? That's awesome.
Yeah.
Man, I'm curious. You played your high school ball at one of the premier high schools in the country, Orange Lutheran.
Yep.
What did that mean to you? Like growing up playing in such a competitive baseball environment, how did that shape you as a player and as a person?
Yeah, I think a lot of kids going to college don't struggle until maybe college or even pro ball. And playing at Orange Lutheran, I mean, I was a freshman on varsity, so I don't want to say you're set up to fail in that league and kind of where you are, but the competition in Southern California is no joke. So it definitely like learning how to go through those tough times at a younger age definitely helped me like set up for the future. And then obviously I got to play with first rounders and D1 kids everywhere. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
It sounds like, like you said, being not set up for failure, that's going to put a terrible light on the
yeah,
school,
yeah.
but like, um, just being challenged and
Mhm.
pushed and earning everything you get from day one has to be huge. And like you said, man, that adversity that plays into another major part of your career of stuff you've had to deal with. You've had a ton, like a litany of injuries come up your way,
Mhm.
man. Just researching you, it made me very sad. Like I wanted to just like give you a hug or something, be like, dude, I'm so sorry, but blood clots that
Yeah.
required surgery,
Mhm.
a torn
Yep.
labrum, I could speak, rotator cuffs,
Yeah.
broken hamate bone. Which one was it, left or right?
Left hamate bone. Yeah.
Great. And then fractured ribs. Just what
Yeah.
a month ago,
Yeah, a month ago. Yeah.
dude. My question is
Yep.
not wow. My question is, how have you remained mentally strong through all those adversities, and what do you think's gotten you through that?
Yeah, so I was actually just talking about it recently. It's like they were all freaky injuries, no like hamstring, just normal ones. They all had to be unique and interesting. But I mean, so for the labrum, I did that freshman year, but played the whole like just it was kind of late in the year, and we decided we're just gonna finish the season because obviously we were having a great year, and
Mm-hmm.
then got it fixed in the summer, and then first practice back broke the hamate bone, so needed to get that taken out. So that was kind of a kick in the nuts to say. And then
Yeah.
played sophomore year, kind of, still coming back from the labrum. It takes a little longer than I thought. And then went to the Cape, had a ton of fun, played great. And then I know we'll probably get there at some point, but and then I got to I got back to TCU and woke up one morning, just had this huge balloon right arm. I was like, whoa, that's not normal. I just
Oh
woke up.
no.
Like it was the worst way to do it. And woke up, went and saw the trainer, and I've never seen him freak out. But he took me to the ER, ended up having a blood clot. So got the first rib removed, and then had another blood clot, which is super, super rare because the rib is what causes the blood clots because it's pinching on that vein. And so when you get the rib out, it's not supposed to happen anymore. But, I like to be unique to say the least. So, and then, yes, a month ago, broke the rib. But getting back to your question, I think the biggest thing is I say it all the time, but I'm almost so optimistic to a fault. Like, I forget what it's called, but very optimistic. And even some of my teammates were like, dude, you just got out of the hospital. Like, how are you still smiling? Like, having a good time. And I'm like, well, you know what? Like, I learned something. Like, there's a lot worse things going on. Like, sure, a blood clot was scary, but I was okay. And like, I was walking around the hospital kind of just trying to stay active. And, there's a lot bigger and worse things going on in the hospital. So I think that perspective, like, of the why me gets changed really quickly. And you just kind of you just go one step at a time and, try to get healthy and get back for your guys.
I love that. I love that. The drive to get back and to stay positive throughout. That's something that a lot of people would take that and they'd wallow in it. But hearing
Mhm.
that, that even your teammates were like, bro, Karson, how are you so upbeat now? It's such a testimony to your character. So yes, we are going to talk about the Cape, but let's do that in a minute. Let's talk about your time at TCU. Like you said, 3 years there,
Mhm.
3 strong years, considering again, like you said, all these crazy injuries.
Yeah.
How often are you guys looking at or using analytics at TCU, and do you enjoy those?
I do actually. I really enjoy looking at them. I would say this year we used them a lot more. We got a new analytics guy and he was great. He gave us like different. So I guess we'll start with like just camera angles, like pure camera angles. He had a bunch of different angles that he would set up and put them in a website that we could use, and then exit velos, like spin rates and different, like even horizontal break, vertical break, like all these different things that I like looking at as a hitter were available to us. So I think that was a lot in the scouting reports, and then I think it was just really we use it a lot. And even catching wise, we used to get like the report sent to us, like how many pitches you stole, like how many you might have lost. So I feel like we use it a lot, and I've heard of a ton of schools using it. So
Absolutely. It's interesting because I like to ask people, guys specifically, about the analytics and what they like to use. And you're one of the guys that I think has taken to it the most, actually, if I had to say.
mhm.
Um, it's interesting to me, especially because talking to guys and trying to find the edge on different guys, and assess for our subscribers. It's interesting. So I'm curious if you had to label one statistic of yours that you saw this year as the one that made you go, "Ooh, that's impressive." What would it be?
Like an analytic thing that I
Sure,
saw.
man. Yeah.
Hmm. Probably San Diego's Friday night guy. Very first game of the season, he was carrying the fastball. So like induced vertical break, it was like averaging like 23 or 24 inches, which is pretty
A
crazy.
lot.
Yeah, a ton. So I feel like for that being the very first pitcher we saw this year, I mean, it still sticks out in my mind. So
Absolutely, man. That's a tough way to break in the season for
I know,
sure.
I know. Big
Very
time.
cool. Let me ask this. You brought up catching and how your type of looking at the analytics can benefit your catching as well as your hitting as well as scouting. The pitcher you're going to face. So you have seen time at both catcher and at first base. I'm curious, and this is a bit of a weird question, so I'll ask it and then explain it. Do you prefer all of the grind, the mental and physical grind of catching, as opposed to first base? Or is there really a clear preference? And I guess what I'm saying is, my dad was a catcher in college. I love catchers. That's traditionally one of my favorite positions on the diamond to scout and to get to know and learn more about. Um, I guess the question would be, do you appreciate that and that kind of field generalship, or is it easier just to focus on, I'm going to play my part at first base, which is a difficult position all in itself? Just curious your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, catching for sure. 1,000,000%. Like, I've grown up a catcher, and I feel like the field general part of it is probably my favorite part because you get to manage the pitchers, and they're also unique and like learning the way they tick, learning what they like to throw in certain counts, and just everything about catching. I love. I love blocking a ball. I love like taking one off the forearm, having a bruise the next day. I just love everything about it. I love like being back there talking with the umpire, like just doing all the above. And I think we'll get there at some point, but that is the main reason I had to end up entering the transfer portal. So just
Interesting.
rip that Band-Aid off.
Wow.
But yeah,
Okay.
that's the biggest reason because I love catching and that's what I want to do.
Want an opportunity to catch. Hey, I
Yeah.
think that's great. And you're so blessed to live in the era where that's a realistic thing. You can say, listen, I do want to catch. And TCU, they're blessed to have a big group of catchers. But yes, I think that's super respectable for you to say that. All right. You couldn't have transitioned me better, Karson, because I did a little reading.
Yep.
Some TCU alumni.
Mm-hmm.
There's some good ones, some guys that have had a lot of major league time.
Yep.
I'm curious
Mm-hmm.
of this fantasy TCU rotation:
Yes.
Jake Arrieta,
Mm-hmm.
Andrew Kashner, Brandon Finnegan, Nick
Mm-hmm.
Lodolo, Brandon Williamson.
Yep.
Who would you make the best battery with and why?
Oh,
That's
well,
tough, man.
I've caught Lodolo.
I thought you had.
So I never played with him, but I've caught his bullpens and I've played catch with Finnegan. Shoot. Well, I
I'm putting
mean,
you on the spot, man. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
Arrieta is a Cy Young winner.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
I'll go Lodolo because I've caught his bullpens. So how about that?
That's cool. Hey, you can't go wrong with that. Lodolo, we'll have to shout him out. We'll tag him in this. I'll try to drop this as a little teaser on
Yeah,
Twitter.
that'd
We'll
be
tag him in that. All right. So you mentioned it. Your freshman year, dynamic. You had an incredible freshman year, and the team did.
yeah,
You guys, you made it to Omaha. And I know that College World Series right now, we've just found out the matchup. It's LSU Coastal. Great match.
yeah,
We're going to get to see Coach Johnson take on Coastal again. That's going to be a killer match. But
yeah.
you had 5 hits in the College World Series. First of all, amazing. Like that's and that really leads me into my question because I'm without words here. What is the atmosphere like in the box in Omaha?
You know, it is. It's unreal, but a lot of them we've all talked about this as players. A lot of the fans are neutral, if that makes
Interesting.
sense. They're
Yeah,
baseball
definitely.
fans, so it's great. So they're gonna cheer no matter like if something good happens, they're gonna cheer, which is awesome. So the atmosphere is absolutely unreal. But if you go somewhere like Fayetteville, you're not like the atmosphere is a different, if that makes sense. So that
Definitely.
same year we played the regional in Fayetteville, and the atmosphere is way different in a sense. The fans aren't cheering for you, they're more cheering against you in a place like that. So, but yeah, Omaha is unreal. It's definitely the most people or fans I've ever played in front of. And I mean,
So far.
people, yeah, true. People want to go there so bad for a reason. Like it really is as cool as everybody makes it sound.
So you brought it up, and this isn't on my agenda, but you brought it up, so I gotta ask.
Mhm.
You mentioned Fayetteville. Baum Walker is a notoriously tricky stadium to play in. Is that the most hostile environment you ever played in? And are there any others you want to shout out as just being like, that's a tough crowd, like that's a tough place to play?
Hmm. So yes, Baumwalker. I was a freshman. I was hitting second
Yeah.
and facing Hagen Smith. So it was something. But I will say we did play really well there, so that
Yeah.
helped. Oh goodness, where else have we played? So once again, Arkansas at Globe Life. There was like 25,000 people there
Oh yeah.
my freshman year, so that was also unreal. Trying to think, Texas Tech.
Oh,
That's
sure, sure.
one. Texas is a good one. So probably those three that I can think of right now.
Those are good ones. Just thinking more about what you're saying, it's just baseball fans there. I
Exactly.
almost relate Omaha to WrestleMania in a way, if we may. Like it's a huge, the atmosphere is just unlike anything else because it's fans
Yes.
that support what you're doing wholeheartedly. I'm so proud that you could go and succeed at that level and at that amazing park at Charles Schwab. That's very cool. And you
Thanks.
brought it up a minute ago. The Cape,
Mhm.
you had a killer summer. I got some stats: 315, 425, 416 slash line. Blech. How did that how did that wood bat high level competition help to kind of develop you? And
Mhm.
then what was the biggest lesson that you learned on the Cape that summer?
Yeah, I think so it developed me a ton because I didn't have a great sophomore year.
Right.
Was kind of battling those injuries like we talked about, but played every day, just did everything I could to just try to, play as well as I could. But went to the Cape, made some changes to the swing, the approach, kind of different timing mechanisms, and then ended up being a great summer. But the biggest thing I learned was from Coach Trundy, who actually passed away in December. But
Mhm.
he told us that this is going to be the most fun summer you've ever had. And you know what? He always reminded me and like the team to enjoy and have fun. And I think that was the biggest thing. It brought back that spark of baseball's fun, and it was just such an unbelievable experience. Like my host family was amazing, my teammates, my coaches were amazing, and I mean, I even fished every single morning because my host family
Yeah.
lived on a lake, so it was like not taking baseball too seriously, even though it is the best college summer baseball league, and you're gonna face a Friday night guy every single night.
Every night.
But I think not taking it too seriously and like making sure you are having that fun, enjoying your teammates, and then you go compete. It's just honestly, it was the best summer of my life. So
I love that. I'm glad that it sounds like it developed you kind of more than just even as a player, but as a man.
yeah,
It just
exactly.
really kind of a memory you'll hold forever, and I love that for you. This season, I know we've said it. This has been a tough season for you. A lot of transition, a lot of adversity, but amidst all of that, a nice rose sprouting up through the concrete. I noticed this season your isolated power metric, which is I'm sure slugging minus batting average, 182. That's the highest of your collegiate career. I was very impressed to see that. I'm curious, have you made any kind of substantive changes that might have impacted you to hit for more power this year?
Yeah. And what's crazy, I don't have it on me like the numbers, but my highest, like my max exit velo coming into this year was 105, and then
Yeah,
I hit 110 this year. So my college career, my highest ever was 105, and then I popped a 110 this year and was in the like 106 to 110 range the whole season. And I honestly don't know. I don't have like I got stronger. I was like 5 to 10 pounds heavier than I've ever been in college. 220 pounds this year. Felt
there you
great,
go.
felt strong. And then we also were using the like over and underloaded axe bats. I
Yeah,
know
yeah.
Charles Avalon from Arkansas did a cool thing on them, and they're really good for training bat speed. But I have no idea if the bat speed actually increased, but it had to have since the exit velo increased. I think so.
Yeah, I mean that certainly makes sense. I'm far be it from the guy to sit here and talk physics, but it makes sense. You
Yeah,
swing faster, goes further faster. I mean, it makes sense.
exactly.
All right, that's very cool, and I appreciate that. I'm gonna have to look that up with Charles and see more about that.
Yeah, he did like
Uh,
a 15-minute piece. It was awesome.
really,
Yeah,
I'll have to check
yeah.
that out then. Thanks for the tip. All right. So right now, between a lot of big things going on this summer, we're going to get into them kind of one by one.
Mhm.
But between the different avenues that you may be going in your career this summer, we'll say that to tease it.
Yep.
Uh, I'm sure you've talked to a ton of scouts, ton of
Mhm.
guys, ton of coaches. What's the scouting feedback you've heard most frequently this season or this summer, and how are you using that to kind of refine your game?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the thing that stands out is the injuries, which is tough, but I will say I've found I don't know if you've ever heard of Arm Care, but one of the guys who created the Arm Care app, it's like a sensor, and he does a great job. He used to work with the Angels and the Orioles and work like helping people stay healthy. So I got in touch with him. His name's Ryan Croton, and he is gonna help the goal is for him to help me stay healthy throughout the rest of my career. And I've never really invested in someone like this who's gonna like help me with my diet, like figure out what I was deficient in for why that rib broke, like my certain exercises, like making sure I'm doing them all right. So just everything I can do, like that I can control, is gonna be everything I can do to stay healthy. So I just want to like that's probably the biggest thing is people like the scouts ask like, "Are you healthy?" And it's like, "Well, I fractured the rib a month ago, but yes, I am. Like I'm getting there. Only a few more weeks till I can swing again." So not too bad. It's not like I didn't need surgery or anything for this one.
Right.
And then, but they liked the offensive numbers this year, and then not catching as much sound like I don't know if it's gonna hurt me in the draft, but
Right.
obviously, it's you never know. So, I've caught a
Well,
ton of games in my career, probably 100 or something, I don't know.
sure.
But yes, I did play a good amount of first, and I was totally healthy the whole year. That's just what the team needed, and I mean, I'm willing to do whatever the team needs, so
I love that. And absolutely, man. It's I think it's interesting because for every knock that we could put on, yeah, I didn't get to catch as much. You got to show that you were a team guy. You're willing to do whatever it takes for the team to play first base at the pinch and to do whatever it takes to win. So I think that's just as impressive as anything else, and that's awesome.
Thank you.
All right, so we brought it up. We talked about it. Let's dive in head first here, man. You have recently, Karson, entered the transfer portal.
Yes.
As I told you before we recorded, I think that that's immensely fascinating.
Mhm.
Um, can you and you answered this? Do you want to speak in more detail, I guess, about that decision to transfer from TCU after 3 seasons?
Yeah. I mean, obviously not an easy decision. Like I love TCU, I still do. The coaches, the team, everything. And what it came down to is if the draft doesn't work out, I need to go somewhere next year where I have a good chance to catch every day or 3 days a week. So I think giving myself that opportunity to go into the portal and kind of try to figure out like who really needed catching and needed like an older guy, like someone to take over pitching staff. So I think that was the biggest thing I was looking for in the portal was just the opportunity to catch every day because TCU and Nolan Traeger is going to come back, and me and him were great friends, like no bad blood at all. And I mean, I had caught a ton of college games, so I did my best to help him. And even playing first, like we'd have great conversations about catching. So no bad blood with anybody at TCU. Like I love those guys, and I think it was honestly just something that was best for me. And that's at the end of the day, that's kind of what I had to do.
I think that that's great. And again, like I said, it's so funny. I call it the Facebook crowd, and this might make sense to you. The Facebook crowd of people will be like, in my day, kids couldn't transfer. It's the worst thing in the world. Transfer, stick to your university, child," and all this nonsense. But it's good for you that you can. You can say, hey, this is something that I personally want for my long-term benefit, for my career. And you go and you find an opportunity. I think it's wonderful because those same people complaining wouldn't have said the same thing about a job market that was like that. Oh, you're not staying at your job you've had for 3 years just because you want a better opportunity. It's
Exactly.
crazy to me. But anyway, all right. The transfer portal itself. Once you've declared in the portal,
Yep.
I have to imagine that kind of feels like being the pretty girl at the dance, right?
Yeah. It was it was definitely like 5 days of just nonstop calls from wide ranges of teams, and it was I didn't know what to expect. I hadn't been recruited since sophomore year of high school, so it'd been 6
A
years,
minute. Yeah, yeah.
a long time, and I also didn't know, like I didn't know anything about the portal. I had never been in it. I didn't know how it worked, but it was almost like the recruiting process out of high school all over again, except they can just call you whenever and send you, like, text, so I really wasn't expecting it. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know people went on visits out of the portal, like, I didn't know anything, so
Sure.
it was honestly I feel like that's why it's good for me to talk about this because I was going into it just no expectations. Like I didn't have a top school. I was just like, I'm gonna go in, see who needs catching, and then figure it out.
So that it's got to be crazy because I like different times in life. Obviously, like Christmas, birthday, you can
Mhm.
pick up your phone and be like, "Oh wow, 28 text messages and 17 calls." Like that can happen only so often. But for
Yeah,
you, like you said, 5 straight days of just, "Oh wow," like just that has to be just absolutely ridiculous. So
it was
coming
nuts.
into it with no expectations to now being in it, I guess that kind of leads me really well to the next question. You without having to get into any specifics, and you don't have to anything you want to say. You don't have to,
Yeah.
do you? Without getting into specifics, beyond the fact that you said you're looking for a team that needs veteran catching,
Mhm.
leadership behind the plate, what are some of the traits or characteristics you're looking for in a program as you're kind of evaluating these next steps?
Yeah, I think a winning program is probably the biggest thing, and I also want another program who develops catchers really well, and I think those were which obviously you're gonna know if they're a winning program when because you just know. I've been in college long enough to where I know who's good, and so that one's easy to check off. You can kinda figure that one out quickly, and then the development for, like, hitting and catching is something you really need to ask about usually and kinda get to the bottom of, and I think that made it really easy not easy, but it helps narrow it down to where you're like, okay, they're gonna really, really help me get to the next level of catching and hitting. And it's like you're going somewhere where they're going to prepare you for pro ball. So I think that's the biggest thing I was looking for is winning, and then people who are going to develop, and obviously great coaches, but those are also, you kind of know who the great coaches are in college baseball. So yeah.
Sure. Just kind of expanding on that a little bit. You were talking about, you kind of look at the logistics of, we want somebody that develops catchers, or we want somebody that needs a catcher, a veteran catcher. We want somebody that, rather, a school that's going to, have you work with pitchers and elevate them.
Yep.
But then in terms of like an environment, even like whether that's a city or a location or a certain climate, even like, is there anything you're looking for in that regard, like to better you as a person?
Well, I mean, I'm from California, so I love warm weather, and I mean, who doesn't? But no, I didn't have a city or state or anything like that. Like, I don't mind how far it is or state, anything. So I was really, even out of high school, I knew I didn't want to stay in California and
Mhm.
went to Texas. Obviously, was at TCU, and then even now in the portal, I just don't care. It doesn't matter. I don't mind how far I have to go, and the further the better, I guess.
So the University of Alaska, you're still in the mix. Don't give up yet. He doesn't mind the cold. Uh, so I know we've run around the bush on it, but let's nail it down here. If you had to set your three main priorities in your dream school out of the portal, what would they be?
Oh, let's say winning, like a winning program, development, and probably just overall like coaches, like
Yeah, definitely.
what's the word I'm looking for? Culture. That's the word.
Mm.
Yeah.
The culture's a big one.
Mhm.
Obviously, that's something that you either buy into or it's automatically a turnoff. You know that it's not there, and so
Exactly.
I love that you want that and you're seeking it out. I think that's good for you. Of course, transferring though, that might not be the best opportunity for you because you alluded to it. The MLB draft right around the corner. We're less than a month now, and
Yep.
I imagine I haven't asked you this, but I imagine that will be an opportunity you would very strongly consider.
I would love to, especially if the opportunity is right. Like, it's been my dream, obviously, and
Sure.
as a kid, I mean, shoot, since 4 years old, I've wanted to be a Major League Baseball player. So it would be a dream come true for sure.
Absolutely. I don't know if you're allowed to say this. If you want to be coy about it, that's fine. Have you had contact with any teams?
I have,
Sure.
but like I feel like we're still probably what, 4 weeks away.
Yeah,
So
we're a bit out.
it's kind of just preliminary stuff, I'd say. Like just
Absolutely.
normal meetings that most draft
Sure.
people have. So nothing
Definitely.
crazy. Yeah.
That's cool. Hey, we're cheering for you, man. We're cheering for you. All
Thank
right.
you.
We've got some quick ones, quick hitters, this
All
or
right.
that, easy peasy. You ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
All right. Carson, Netflix or Hulu?
Netflix.
All right. Why?
Well, I don't have Hulu, so that's one thing.
Oh,
But Netflix is just easy. Like we have the family plan, so I just go on there and easy money just
yeah, man.
works every time.
What have you been watching? Anything good?
I'm a really bad binge watcher, so I try not to start new shows. But what's been the most recent one? Maybe Fire Country, even though that's not on Netflix. Actually, it
Yeah,
might be. I don't know.
sure.
But I kind of got hooked on it for some reason,
Yeah,
and it was really good. It's kind of cheesy,
word.
but it's good.
I see it advertised all the time during Survivor, so I know that it's a really popular show. So that's cool.
Yes.
All right, man. Star Wars or Harry Potter?
Oh gosh, you're gonna hate me. I've
No,
never
go ahead.
watched or read either of them.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. I'll accept that. That's fine. Neither is typically an option that we offer. So
Okay.
I pulled that. That's on me. All right, here you go. One for you. I know you'll have an opinion on framing or blocking.
Ooh.
That's a good one.
I'm gonna go blocking because I hope nobody gets mad at this. But 90 feet, so like an extra base, is arguably more important than a strike,
I would
right?
agree with that.
Okay.
I would
All
agree
right.
with that.
Okay. Good.
We've seen the damage. I'm not going to get into my team, but we've seen the damage that wild pitches can do. So that's all I'll
Yeah.
say. All right, here you go. We need to shout out a teammate. Who
All
was the
right.
best hype man on the 2025 Frogs?
Ooh. Oh gosh. I'm gonna go Braden Sloan. Always, I can tell this story. We were going into extra innings against BYU,
Okay.
and every inning of every extra inning we went into, he was going to put another part or another thing of catcher's gear on. So in the 10th, he had the mask on. In the 11th, he had the chest protector on, and then we walked it off. So we're out there celebrating, and he's wearing the catcher's gear. So I mean, that takes the cake for sure.
That's a great story. I'm glad you told that.
Yes, it was
Oh,
great.
shout out Sloan. That's incredible. Oh, I need to go watch the video of that.
Yes,
All right. Breakfast or dinner?
breakfast for sure. Love breakfast.
My boy. My boy.
Yep.
That's what I'm talking about. Beach or mountains?
Beach. California kid,
I figured.
love the
You
warm.
gotta ask.
Yeah.
All right. For your pregame playlist,
Mhm.
hype or chill?
Chill for sure.
Give,
I don't love like rap and stuff like I do if it has a good beat, but mostly just chill. Like country's good,
yeah,
don't need to go out there doing anything too crazy. Just gonna be chill, play our game.
word. I like
Yep.
it. All right. So this one I'm trying to tease the lines of California versus Texas here.
Okay.
In and out or Whataburger?
In and out for sure.
Okay.
I've
So
I've only had Whataburger twice. I will say I lived there for 3 years. I only had it twice. I know.
bro.
I know.
Wow. Okay. Okay. That's cool.
And I
I've
will
never had I've never had In and Out. See,
Mm.
dude, I know. And there's one in Fort Worth. I was there last year and I was like, let's go to In and Out. Let's go to In and Out. Nobody wanted to go. But
Oh,
like, I live in Tennessee, so it's not here.
okay.
It's
Okay.
too bad. All right. For your cleats, classic or flashy?
Classic for sure. I don't wear arm sleeves, I don't wear chains, nothing. So I feel like I'm the most generic vanilla guy ever. So
Creative player.
yeah, exactly.
That's cool, man. That's cool. All right, here you go. Another one. And I feel like I know which way you're going to go with this.
All right.
Would you rather hit the game winning RBI or throw out the tying run in the eighth?
I'm gonna go game winning RBI.
All right, word,
Yeah.
word. All right. All right. Sunflower seeds or gum?
Oh, those are tough because as a catcher, it's really hard to do either one.
I know.
But I'm gonna go gum. Like it's just safer overall.
Yeah, I can't imagine a catcher just spitting seeds.
I know, right?
That's that we need to see that in a movie somewhere. Somebody at home make that into a movie. Put that in your
Yeah.
baseball movie. All right. If you had to pick we're going to go back to the teammates. You got to pick one teammate to be stuck on an elevator with. Who would you pick?
Oh, who do I want to be stuck on an elevator with? Probably. Let's go Noah Franco. That's a good
Okay.
one. He's
All
he
right.
just he always he's always going to keep you entertained, and he's going to have good ideas on how to pass the time.
That's all you can ask for at that point, man.
Exactly.
What is the best Gatorade flavor, Karson?
Ooh. Okay, so if I'm drinking out of a bottle, probably purple for me.
Okay.
But if it's at baseball, like out of the cooler, yellow for sure.
My boy.
Yep.
Lemon lime out of the cooler is
It's elite.
yeah, it is truly elite. That's the best word I can come up with. Yeah. All right. Which one would be worse? Driving through the stockyards at noon on a Saturday or
Oof.
merging onto I-35 at 5:00 on a work day?
I-35 for sure.
It's awful.
California traffic is the worst. But I will say, you might be there a while in Fort Worth through the stockyards if the cattle drive is going on. So,
dude, we drove through last year again when we were in Fort Worth. Drove through, and I was like, "This is insanity." Downtown Nashville is ripped with people constantly,
yeah,
but the stockyards is just a different kind of crazy.
I know. And it's small. It's not as big
Yes,
as
it's one street or
I know.
one area.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
Maybe the most important question I'm going to ask you all day.
Okay.
Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
I would say no. Like, no, I'm never gonna order it, but I tried it for the first time like 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
and the sweetness of it was not bad.
Okay.
I will say.
All right.
I'm not a picky eater at all. So like
Okay.
if it's on there, it's on there. Like I don't care. I'm not worried about it.
Let's say you're ordering a pizza.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to order? Like, what's your typical pizza order?
I'm going pepperoni and sausage.
Bro.
Yep.
Do you like peppers? Like heat, spice?
A little bit.
Pepperoni, jalapeno, and pineapple is elite. That's a next level pizza.
Really?
Bro, yes.
How do you feel about it's kind of coming onto the scene, the honey, the hot honey? Have you tried pizza? You like it?
10 out of 10.
Yeah, I know. I tried it for the
I,
first time the other day. Really good.
I love that you're just this summer. You're like, I'm going to experiment with pizza. That's what I'm doing this summer.
Yep, that's
That's
all
awesome. So, to wind us down, wrap us up here.
Yep.
If you could give teams, college coaches, organization guys, big league managers, whoever's watching this video, this interview, if you could give them one sentence to remember Karson Bowen by, what would that sentence be?
I would say Karson Bowen always bounces back.
I love that.
Yeah. Been through a lot, tons of adversity. So I do have that faith in myself that I can come back from anything. So, yeah.
I love it. And I'm glad you do. And if we have learned anything from this interview, it's that is hard facts. Karson Bowen, I don't think he can be stopped. So no matter what your next stop is, I know on behalf of myself and Prospects Live, we're rooting for you, man. And we're hyped to see what you do next. And we're going to be cheering for you all the way. Before we go, why don't you tell the folks at home where they can find you and follow you on social media?
Yeah. So on Instagram, it's Karson.Bowen. And then Twitter is @BowenCarson.
Very good.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, if you want to find me on the Twitter machine, you may do so @DrewIsOK. You can do so on Blue Sky at the same thing. And of course, prospectslive.com. Membership start as low as $5 a month for content like this interview, written reports, live looks, stuff for your dynasty team, your card collecting hobby, or if you just want to know who the best prospects are for a certain school or your favorite team, we got it at prospectslive.com, only $5 a month. Karson, it's been a real treat, man, and I'm looking forward to seeing where you go next. I've been so unbiased all episode long, but if you happen to end up at a certain school in Knoxville, I would really appreciate it. So that's all I'll say. But until next time, toodaloo, and we'll see you later.
Thank you.